Alright, what is going on, everybody? This is Dog Meat. I'm back at it. Just talk a little more about Anthem. I know I kind of put out a first impressions video, but I just want to talk just a little bit more about it, and some of the aspects about the game that I've kind of found to enjoy and actually love. I know it's the big news lately was with the console crashes and all that. To be honest, I think because of the resolution of this game, a lot of those PlayStations are going into what is thermal shutdown, which means that they're working a little too hard to try and keep up with the graphics. So I don't know if any of those were PS4 Pros. It would be interesting to see if some of those, consoles that shut offline and everything, if they're regular PlayStations or if they're Pros. Me personally, I'm on an Xbox One X, so if you look at the hardware as far as the Xbox One X goes, it's pretty close to a gaming PC. I mean, of course, it's not going to be as good as a gaming PC because it's console, but it's about as close as you're going to get on console. And that was the big deciding factor for me between that and PS4 Pro. Right now, I'm just doing some free play on hard. The reason why I do free play is because a lot of the activities and everything are very engaging as far as with this game, especially on hard. When I started doing stuff on hard, one of the things I noticed is I had to change my strategy down a lot. So on the previous video, I was on my Ranger. This time I decided to bring out the Javelin. To be honest, leveling with this game is really awesome. Unlike Destiny, where you're have to start with your character from scratch, if you want to level a new character like a Titan or a Warlock. This one, it actually scales, the loot scales with your pilot. So what happened was I was leveling my Ranger, and my Ranger started actually surpassing my Interceptors. And I wanted to concentrate on the Interceptor because it was the closest that I had. And I want to be able to do the hard content, the Grandmaster stuff, and get more loot. So I switched over, basically leveled my Interceptor a little bit more. And this is what you're looking at. This is the product. This is the build that I have so far. It's fun. I kind of discovered this Spark Dash late in the game. And I actually enjoy it a lot. And right now, how I have my Interceptor set up is I have my Tempest Strike and my Spark Dash kind of leveling real quick. So, anyways, I found an actual really good, decent kind of review that kind of explains kind of this mess that is Anthem, I'm going to try and put a link in the description. If anybody knows Warframe and stuff, they know a popular YouTuber with the Warframe community is Rob from A Gay Guy Plays. He actually had a really good kind of synopsis and everything. And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about is I know these guys went hard after the Destiny community. I'm curious if they asked anybody from the Warframe community to come take a look at this game. Because, most people know that Warframe has had a steady player base since its inception, and that game's done a lot of improvements. I covered it a few times on my channel, just kind of talking about different builds and stuff like that, and that's one of the things I think they really could have benefited from, because granted, what makes Warframe different from this one is this one's a little more kind of, I don't want to say dumbed down version or anything like that. I just want to say it's kind of a little more user-friendly. Whereas Warframe, you had to learn how to do builds, you had to learn how to mod, you had to learn how to, what weapons are going to work with what frames are going to be good for what level and everything, as far as what type of activity you're doing. And all that. So Rob from The Gay Guy Plays, he's basically talking, and I really agree with what he says as far as when he was talking about the loot, because everybody's talking about the lackluster loot. and everything. One of the things that he went into a little bit in depth was talking about the different perks as far as like on the weapons. And he was talking basically that really this game plays off of the strengths of the javelins. These guys, like, it seems like they want you to use your abilities more than anything. And really the kind of guns play second nature and add synergy to that. And I tend to agree with that. I think that that is an actual pretty good, you know, observation on like how this game is and how it plays. You know? Oh, that's right, these dudes are freaking armored from the front. So, I mean, that was my thing. I wonder if BioWare, like, actually talked to the Warframe community, because I know in Warframe, like, you know, a lot of people come back because of the loot, because of the frames, you know. I know for me, for, like, I played, like, hours on it, because when you get certain mods, and you get certain frames and everything, you know, you like to try and min-max your builds, and see how much you can push that frame. And that was, like, what's interesting. If you look at the Warframe reviews, I mean, all the frames, you're at like these guys really don't do anything. I don't know why I'm terrorizing them, but anyways. Alright, here we go for a world event. You know, if you look at the frames, like the highest they get is they like get level 30, but when you go into end game activities, your enemies can get over to like 100 plus, you know? So I think it's in this little thing. So, you know, granted, there's not going to be mods or much you can do with these. Like I said, I mean, it's like a more simplified version of Warframe. But, you know, the different mod components and the different things that you can do with this, it makes it, like, really engaging. Especially, like, for playing on hard, like, I had to change my whole strategy up. Right now, you're seeing kind of, like, the product of running, like, 2 hard strongholds and stuff. That's why I definitely suggest. Let me see what this guy has to say. Okay, well, where's this Corvus agent at? There he is. Well, I don't care, there's enemies. I don't know where he's at. So I waited like a little bit. I got to about level 400 before I started, you know, like power strength 400 on this javelin before I started doing strongholds. I did 2 strongholds last night. I had the audio bug happen during my first one, and that was painful because, you know, that is one thing. You do need audio, you know, for this so you can hear where the enemies are coming. And if anybody's played that, what is it, the mine stronghold, like those spiders and scorpions and everything, they come from out of nowhere. And it's kind of a pain in the butt, like when you can't hear them. So rather than quit the game, I just played through it, you know, soldiered on through it. Did fairly well. I set up like it's with consumables and stuff like that. We actually did like surprisingly good. Had very few of my teammates die, you know. I didn't die that much. The only thing I did is like when I lost the audio, I did have issues with that. So anyways, I just kind of felt like getting on and talking about this just because, like, you know, the last video actually turned out fairly well. I didn't have any audio or video stutter from Twitch, and I was like, So, you know, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do another video on it, you know, and I'm definitely not shilling this up to say, like, oh yeah, this is like the best game ever and stop giving Anthem hate. I mean, to each is their own, you know, people can like it or hate it. I think that this is one of those games like Warframe that some people are going to get it and some people aren't. And that's one of the things I wanted to kind of talk about is, for me, when I was playing this game, there came a time in this game where everything just kind of clicked when I was playing on my Interceptor here. And it felt like you really start to feel the flow of like your Javelin. You know, it depends on the play style that you have. I like to kind of go in and out, have mobility, and you know, just be able to have more options as far as like that goes. As far as like tankiness, now I've gotten this Interceptor to where it's like fairly tanky, but it's still, it's not definitely, you definitely get more with like a Ranger or a Colossus. But it may not seem like it's that hard as far as like the gameplay here. I do have it on the hard difficulty. I'm just trying to get more masterwork stuff to attempt the Grandmaster. But like I said, I've got this javelin, my interceptor, to about 400 plus and stuff like that. But I mean, like, that was one of the things that I kind of wanted to talk about in my impressions video, was just, you know, how I felt like it, and you know, how I felt about it, and what actually made me kind of want to continue playing this game, even though it does have some of the issues that it does. It's not a complete game, I will agree with that. It has, I mean, to me, it has the jump start for like a lot of potential on it, and I don't know as far as what these guys can do to improve it. I think for anybody playing this game, I would say, you know, play through the content, get through the campaign. Afterwards, I've had a lot of fun with the contracts. It's the same thing as Warframe. If you're listening to these guys talking during the contracts, it's kind of explaining like more of a story. Oh shoot, that's a Titan. I'm not messing with that. Not by myself, buddy. You know, that's the thing, is like, you know, Warframe kind of took a beating for that because they don't have, you know, like a lot of story and stuff like that. But for the most part, the stories that they do have, like the War Within and Second Dream, they're phenomenal. And I think that that's something that BioWare could have, you know, taken from the Warframe element itself. I mean, because in those short half-hour like campaigns, you know, you get so much more of an in-depth story than any of the Destiny campaigns have ever done. You know, and that is one thing I'll have to say about D, is they can tell story, and they do know how to do it. For me personally, I wish the campaigns were a little bit longer. I think these guys have the potential, because everybody compares. That was like one of the things they didn't like, that the story wasn't as involved as the Mass Effect series. But I mean, here's the thing: is this is one of the things I kind of questioned, and I was like talking with my buddies on. I was like, well, you know, can you do that? You know, with the games as a service model, can you have all those different types of elements and different pathways like you do with the Mass Effect story? You know, that's something that I don't know. You know, I mean, I'm not a developer, and I wouldn't be able to tell you if that's something that they could do. That would be cool if it is, you know. But you would have to think about the different types of servers that, you know, a company would have to have for like the different pathways and stuff like that, you know. So I'm not sure. Some of the things that I think that could have helped them, especially like with the loot area, is I know that Mass Effect Andromeda took a pretty good beating when it was released. And to be honest, I didn't play it until after they did like a lot of the patches. You know, and I actually had a good time with the game. One of the things that made it difficult for me to complete the Mass Effect series is I didn't like how linear the original Mass Effect was, you know? I felt like I spent most of the time like looking around the map for like ammo, weapons, and stuff like that. And then not to mention like the squad thing, it just didn't work out for me, man. You know, because like once you get in an engagement in the Mass Effect, it's hard to sit there and switch before and tell all your fire team like what to do. I mean, at least that's the way it was for me. I know there's a lot of people that loved it. I love the story. I spent hours in the Citadel and everything. And I've tried. I mean, like, I've really tried putting some time in to get further along in the story, because I did enjoy the story a lot. But the reason why I bring up Andromeda and everything is I know that it was not like the best example of the Mass Effect universe, but they had like some good elements as far as like, you know, the customization of the weapons and armor and stuff. Now you kind of sort of have that here with the javelins and stuff, and then which weapons you select up with it. But I think what could have made it better is maybe do like kind of a legendary like blueprint or something, you know, to where you can make your own weapon, and then it's just a matter of going out and farming the parts, you know. Similar to like kind of like what Warframe already has, you know. but different in the fact that, you know, maybe you could do some of your own like designs and stuff. I know like that kept me engaged with different options that you had with the weapons and armor with the Andromeda. And I actually had a pretty decent build towards the end of that game that I ended up loving it, you know. To be honest, like when I left Andromeda, I kind of felt like I wanted more, you know. Like I kind of wish they would have done a DLC, but I understand that, you know, these guys cutting their losses and just kind of moving on with something else. And that's why I hope they don't do here. You know, I hope that EA doesn't really get rid of this game, you know, before it's had a time to like really kind of come into its own. And I think it will. And everybody has to remember, you know, like Destiny, yeah, Destiny was a complete game when that came out, but, you know, it still had its issues. Like, I don't care what anybody says, that game still had like plenty of issues to deal with. And it still has its issues. I mean, like, how many times are we doing patches and stuff like that? What's up, buddy? Give this dude a little clap, man, for helping me out. You know, but like I said, I mean, I was just kind of thinking about, you know, some of the ways that these guys can kind of improve on some of, you know, the game a little bit and everything. Because I know, like, that's the thing with, like, Warframe is there was always something to chase. There's always something to go for. There's always something to do. I mean, there's still stuff to do in there. I haven't done much of the Fortuna and all that just because of, you know, Forsaken coming out and other things. And just to be honest, like, it's just like any other game. You kind of get burnt out on it, you know. But I still love Warframe, and I still go on from time to time and stuff like that. And I really can't wait for the next cinematic quest. I enjoyed the Sacrifice as well, you know. But like, my only complaint is, like I said before, is it was very short-lived. So that's my thing, is I just wanted to like kind of talk and elaborate a little further on this as to why I like this game. Like I said, I mean, there came a point when I was playing this game that I just really fell into my own element, and you know, with this Javelin here in particular, you know, because I do enjoy like the Interceptor a lot. And I'm gonna go back through. I'm gonna level the Storm. I'm gonna try the Colossus a little bit, and I think that's like one of the things that I really didn't like the Colossus that much, just because, you know, it felt kind of out of my element. But yeah, I mean, because that I had like kind of like this oh shit moment, you know, with this game when I was playing like one of the missions towards the end of the game, where I was doing the campaign by myself, because the one thing I do not like is when you do public matchmaking. A lot of the times it will put you in towards the end of the mission, and so I was missing out on a lot of the stories. So I started doing the stuff solo, and I was having a fairly difficult time, but for the most part I did fairly well. And there's this one mission where I just really started feeling like the play style of this Interceptor, man, and I was just like, holy shit, this is fucking cool. But anyways, this dog meat, man, I'm out. And look, we got another Interceptor here. And I accidentally popped my super. But anyways, if I was you guys, try the game. You'll like it. You know, I think if you enjoy games like Warframe and stuff, and you kind of understand like RPGs a little bit, you know, I'm sure you'll love this game. It won't be as bad as everybody says, you know. But I'm gonna go over here, and I tried waving, but I accidentally hit up on the D-pad. This dog meat, I am out. I'm gonna take this tank out.